Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1682B, and today's date is October 5th, 2018, and the title of the episode is History in the Making, Ready for Arrest, Tribunals, and Pain. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded a new interview with Robert David Steele. It is on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. So all you need to do is go over to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight, and you can view the interview right there. Or you can come over to the X22Report.com or NewsSentinel.com sites, scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side. You can play the interview right on the site, or go to Steemit, that is steemit.com/@X22Report, and you can play the interview right on Steemit. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, Q has been telling us to prepare for arrests, tribunals, and the pain. And we are very close to this. This is why you can see the mainstream media out there trying to head this off, and we'll be getting into that in just a bit. But the case with Dr. Ford and Kavanaugh, it is completely falling apart very, very quickly. And we know that McClean, because we've been talking about this, she is involved with this. She's been coaching Ford. She most likely wrote the letter that was sent to Congress and then to Feinstein. And what we found out now is that McClean, who's best friends with Ford, lifelong friends, allegedly pressured a woman to change her statement that she knew nothing about an alleged sexual assault by Kavanaugh in 1982. Now, Leland Kaiser, who Ford claims was at the infamous high school groping party, told FBI investigators that mutual friend and retired FBI agent Monica McClean warned her that Senate Republicans were going to use her statement to rebut Ford's allegations against Kavanaugh, and that she should at least clarify her story to say that she didn't remember the party, not that it had never happened. Now, these are two different things here. The report also says that after the FBI sent their initial report on Kavanaugh allegations to the White House, they sent the White House and Senate an additional package of information, which included text messages from McClean to Kaiser. Now, McClean's lawyer, David Loffman, categorically denied that his client pressured Kaiser, saying in a statement, "Any notion or claim that Miss McClean pressured Leland Kaiser to alter Miss Kaiser's account of what she recalled concerning the alleged incident between Dr. Ford and Brett Kavanaugh is absolutely false." But let's see the text messages, because we can see in the past with many different lawyers, they don't really tell the truth either. They just tell you what they think everybody wants to hear, and they lie. And then you find out later they lied to the public. Now, on the polygraph, the Senate Judiciary Committee, Chairman Chuck Grassley, fired off an intriguing letter to Christine Blasey Ford's attorney on Tuesday, requesting several pieces of evidence related to her testimony, including all materials from the polygraph test she took after her ex-boyfriend of 6 years refuted the statements she made under oath last week. And Grassley is also ordering the conversations between Feinstein and others, and he wants it all, basically. He wants everything that has been going on. And this is where it's going to start to fall apart. It already is falling apart, and they're trying to tape this all back together, and they're trying to continually push everyone in the opposite direction. But I know there was a vote today, and it looks like we're heading down to the wire, and then we're going to get the full Senate confirmation, and we'll have to see how this all plays out. Now, during the vote, there were demonstrators demonstrating outside, and Trump said something very, very interestingly. He tweeted, "The very rude elevator screams are paid professionals only looking to make senators look bad. Don't fall for it. Also, look at all the professionally made identical signs, paid for by Soros and others. These are not signs made in the basement from love. Hashtag troublemakers." Now, this is very interesting because first, Trump called out Soros. Secondly, he's pointing to the signs where they're usually pre-made ahead of time. Now, with many of these incidences, we have recognized and noticed this before, where the signs are all ready to go. They're printed up. They're all the same. And we know that Soros is behind a lot of this. And Trump is out there now saying that Soros is behind all of this. Let's get into some of Q's posts here. Post 2330. Q put up a graphic and put up a link to The Hill where it says, Russia collusion bombshell, DNC lawyer met with FBI on dossier before. And Q says, read carefully. And under this, there's a graphic. It says, Spy Op, Fusion GPS, Shell 2, Perkins Coy, Shell 2, Wash Free Beacon, Shell 1. And under this, it says, Part RE, Fusion GPS, Perkins Coy, now being revealed. And this is in brackets in bold. Former FBI General Counsel James Baker met during the 2016 season with at least one attorney from Perkins Coy, the Democratic National Committee's private lawyer. Gave two more links, Perkins Coy, Michael Sussman, and Twitter, and this is from Bob Goodlatte. So the first link here is Michael Sussman, who's a partner in Perkins Coy. And he was formerly with the U.S. Department of Justice, is a nationally recognized privacy, cybersecurity, and national security lawyer. He is engaged on some of the most sophisticated high-stakes matters today, such as his representation of the Democratic National Committee and Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign in their responses to Russian hacking in the 2016 presidential election. So this individual, Michael Sussman of Perkins Coy, is part of this whole operation, and we'll get into that in just a minute. The other link is Bob Goodlatte, and it says, as part of our joint investigation into decisions made by the Department of Justice in 2016, today I subpoenaed Glenn Simpson to appear for a deposition. Now, let's go back in time to Glenn Simpson of Fusion GPS. He is married to Mary Jacoby. Jacoby was employed at Clinton's Rose Law Firm, and her father, John Jacoby, is connected with the Clintons. Why is this important? Because Jacoby is mentioned in Grassley Graham's letter to Podesta asking for communications related to Fusion GPS. Now, Simpson, which is someone we haven't talked a lot about here for a while, is the co-founder of Fusion GPS and most recently has refused to talk to the House again, which is why Goodlatte had to subpoena him. What Q is referring to is that Baker met with Perkins Coy attorney. Now, why did they meet? In order to create the whole Russian collusion narrative via the shell corporations. Now, we know that James Baker just testified. All these individuals now must be panicking. They're nervous. They're afraid. And now we're having new names pop up and more connections. Post 2331. Q put up everything that we saw before and then put up a letter from Perkins Coy. And this is to William W. Taylor, Zuckerman Spader, LLP. And Q highlighted a certain part of the letter. And it says, Fusion GPS approached Perkins Coy in early March of 2016 and aware that Perkins Coy represented the Democratic National Committee and Hillary for America with respect to the 2016 election, expressed interest in engagement with the firm in connection with the 2016 presidential election to continue research regarding then presidential candidate Donald Trump, research that Fusion GPS had conducted for one or more other clients during the Republican primary contest. Now, Q put up another passage and highlighted in red, but let me read the whole thing so it makes sense. No one knew just how bad the breach was, but it was clear that a lot more than a single filing cabinet worth of materials might have been taken. This part is in red. A secret committee was immediately created, including Miss Dacey, Miss Wasserman Schultz, Mr. Brown, and Michael Sussman. a former cybercrimes prosecutor at the Department of Justice, who now works at Perkins Coie, the Washington law firm that handles DNC political matters. Now, under this, Q put and this is in brackets and bold, how the spy op, RE Russia hacking, plus POTUS Russia false narrative, plus installation of Mueller was constructed. Gave links, one to the letter, one to the Washington Post, where it says Russian government hackers penetrated DNC, stole opposition research. Under this, it said CrowdStrike. Britain, Australia, and New Zealand have accused Russian military intelligence of carrying out a worldwide campaign of malicious cyber attacks, including the hacking of the U.S. Democratic National Committee in 2016. Why now? Think D-Class gave another link to CNN. UK Russia cyber attacks. Under it, it says D5Q. So let's take the first link where it says Russia government hackers penetrated DNC, stole opposition research on Trump. So this reads, Russian government hackers penetrated the computer network of the Democratic National Committee and gained access to the entire database of opposition research on GOP presidential candidate Donald Trump, according to committee members and security experts who responded to the breach. The intruders so thoroughly compromised the DNC system that they also were able to read all emails and chat traffic, said DNC officials. The intrusion into the DNC was one of several targeting American political organizations. The networks of presidential candidates Hillary Clinton and Trump were also targeted by Russian spies, as were the computers of some Republican political committees. And we know that this was a complete cover-up. We know that CrowdStrike never really investigated the DNC servers being hacked. CrowdStrike was the company that invested how the hacking took place. Remember, Seth Rich copied the data most likely onto a physical device, and CrowdStrike covered it up with the Russian hacking story, which helped create the Russian collusion story. Now, the other link that Q put here from CNN is the following. UK blames Russia military for reckless cyber attack. Britain, Australia, and New Zealand have accused Russian military intelligence of carrying out a worldwide campaign of malicious cyber attacks, including the hacking of the U.S. Democratic National Committee in 2016. British Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt said in a statement Thursday that the country's National Cybersecurity Center had found that Russian GRU intelligence service operatives were behind cyber attacks believed to have cost the global economy millions of dollars. Australia and New Zealand released similar statements. Now, this is very interesting. Why are they doing this? Because they know something is about to hit. They know they need to control the narrative on this. So they're pointing the finger at Russia. They're also mentioning that Russia had something to do with the global economy, where they lost millions of dollars. So they're wrapping everything all together here. Let's move on to post 2332. Q put up a link to The Hill, and we'll read that in just a minute. And it says nothing to see here, D5 Red October. So the article is Russian official with ties to lawyer in Trump Tower meeting dies in helicopter crash. So remember, the lawyer Natalia, where she was going to visit Trump Jr., Trump Jr. thought he was receiving dirt on Clinton. Natalia was going there for the Magnitsky Act. And this was a complete setup. So the Russian official with ties to the lawyer in Trump Tower died. So is the deep state covering their tracks right now? It sure does sound like that. Moving on to post 2333. This is a statement from the president of the National Strategy Counterterrorism, and Anon put this up. Let me read it to you. This is from Trump. As your president, I am committed to protecting the United States and its interest abroad from the threat of terrorism. The National Strategy for Counterterrorism that I approved today will help protect our great nation, enhance our national security, and guide our continued effort to defeat terrorists and terrorist organizations that threaten the United States. Under my leadership, the United States has accelerated efforts to defeat terrorists. Working with coalition partners, we have decimated the the Islamic State in Syria and Iraq. Likewise, I ended the United States' participation in the horrible Iran deal, which had provided a windfall for the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and its proxies, funding Iran's malign activities throughout the world. Importantly, I have also secured historic increase in defense funding to rebuild our nation's security and military. The National Strategy for Counterterrorism is an important next step. It outlines the approach of the United States to countering the increasingly complex and evolving terrorist threats and represents the nation's first fully articulated counterterrorism strategy since 2011. It provides the strategic guidance needed to protect the United States against all terrorist threats, while simultaneously fostering the agility to anticipate, prevent, and respond to new threats. Guided by the National Strategy for Counterterrorism, we will use all instruments of American power to protect our great nation, and will defeat our enemies with full force of American might. Now, below this, it says, new POTUS tweet with this. Q said, did we hit 0? And this is having the tweet and the posts at the same time. Did we hit 0 as a confirmation? And Q says, we do try. Q. So what is this all about? Trump is actually saying that they're going after the deep state paid mercenary army. Those are the true terrorists. And, of course, going after the deep state itself, because these are terrorists against our nation. And they're all around the world. And they will be attacking the nation over and over and over again to regain power. And he's putting this up there to say we will fight them no matter what. Post 2334. Q put up, think Navy ship crashes, bigger than you know. We are active. And this is from a previous post that Q put up. Then put up pictures of those boxes that we once saw on pallets. And back then we said it was phones, maybe it was chips. And we could see that Q has put a lot of these up there, and these were all coming from China. So these are a lot of pictures, and then we had pictures from Apple and more boxes. So we know from yesterday, and Q confirms this with the Bloomberg article about how China inserted a small chip the size of a grain of rice and put it into each and every one of our systems. And this is including, the Air Force, the Navy, Department of Defense, our public devices. And Q went on to say the following: Elemental's servers could be found in Department of Defense data centers, the CIA's drone operations, and the onboard networks of Navy warships. Multiple people familiar with the matter say investigators found that the chips had been inserted at factories run by manufacturing subcontractors in China. One official says investigators found that eventually affected almost 30 companies, including a major bank, government contractors, and the world's most valuable company, Apple. One country in particular has an advantage executing this kind of attack, China, which by some estimates makes 75% of the world's mobile phones, 90% of its PCs. But that's just what U.S. investigators found. The chips had been inserted during the manufacturing process, two officials say, by operatives from a unit of the People's Liberation Army. In Supermicro, China's spies appear to have found a perfect conduit for what U.S. officials now describe as the most significant supply chain attack known to have been carried out against American companies. Q says the more you know. Now, Amazon, or Bezos, did he know about this? Because Amazon purchased Elemental Server Company. The individual that owned this company, the CEO, Sam Blackman, he died suddenly at age 41 last year. Did he know something? And did Bezos know? Because what we're seeing is the following, and we have to go back in time. The deep state and the central bank, they were moving the manufacturing out of this country into China. They had deals with China. They were setting them up to be the next superpower. The deep state likes to keep tabs on everything. And the only way to do this is to get into each and every one of these systems. Remember Vault 7, where they created all this malware. Now, we also have to understand is that the deep state, they have operatives in many different countries. They're working out of many different countries. Other countries are cooperating. And we need to realize that they couldn't pull this off if manufacturing was still here in the United States. Can you imagine that? If they inserted a chip while they were manufacturing these boards inside the United States, these people would be put into jail right off the bat, completely against the law, spying on your own people, and you introduced it right here in the United States. So they moved manufacturing outside of the United States, and guess what? Now it's a lot easier because now China has the ability to insert this chip onto every board, and they can spy on every single person. They have control over aircrafts, ships, and whatnot. Think about what they were trying to do. They were trying to create a one-world government and control the population. How do you do this? Well, you need to spy on everyone. You have to have control of all devices, of everything. And it looks like this is what they were trying to do. And remember, Clinton was allowing the Chinese to access her server, not hack in, access. And I think this is what Q is trying to tell us. Post 2335. Put everything that we saw in 2334 and added at the bottom the following. From post 1337. Facebook is listening to you 24/7, 365. Very interesting. Part of the system. F9 algorithm. Are they recording safe housing? Metadata collection. Building 8. DARPA, China. Post 809. Clowns revealed in China other. 2010, 187. Sold Intel. Hillary Rodham Clinton open source server. Missing emails. CrowdStrike. Granted access. Betrayed. Only the tip. This will be made public soon. Q. Actually, future proves past because they're making it public now. So, deep state tech oligarchs working together to sabotage pretty much everyone in the world and spy on literally everyone. So, is Zuckerberg's wife, is she his handler? Which she has access then to Facebook and basically telling them this is what we need to do to spy on every single person? I mean, think about what is going on here. America was sold out. And Q continually says this. Post 2336. Now, this is very interesting. Q says, Israeli intelligence stand down. Then gave us a number in brackets in bold. Term 3720 by 380 minus 2934 766 69 2833 3001. Media assets will be removed. Q. Now, most likely Q is talking to Mossad. Mossad has something to do with this. Maybe Mossad was trying to do something, trying to access something, or moving forward with media or something like that. And Q, I don't think Q is talking to us. I think Q is talking to Mossad saying, stand down now or else. Post 2337. Q shows a picture of Jeff Sessions and his hand is up. And Jeff Sessions is going to bring the pain. Post 2338. Q puts up a lawsuit, and this is the people of the state of New York, by Barbara Underwood, Attorney General of the state of New York, against Donald J. Trump, Donald J. Trump Jr., Ivanka Trump, Eric F. Trump, and the Donald J. Trump Foundation. And it looks like it's a lawsuit brought against them. And Q says, swamp fighting back. Post 2339. Q puts up a Twitter link to BBC News. And this Twitter link says the following. We're going to be clear. Where Russia acts in an indiscriminate and reckless way, we will be exposing them. UK Defense Secretary Gavin Williamson reacts to revelations of Russia spy attacks. Now, Q says the following. D-class coming. Narrative shift in full force. UK, Australia assisted rogue elements of the U.S. government to take down a duly elected candidate president. Q. basically what Q is saying is that the UK, Australia, the United States, they're trying to shift the narrative now by putting out these stories because they understand what's coming. And Q did mention that they would do this, that they will try to control the narrative. Post 2340, Q puts up a Twitter link to Glazatron, shows an individual at the rally, has a shirt on that has Q, and it says VIP Patriot, United States Secret Service granted entry to many, Q. And then Q goes into 2341. It says Annan's ready, Q. Post 2342 repeats everything in 2341, says Annan's ready, memes ready. Then post 2343 puts up everything we just said and says, are you ready to see arrests? Are you ready to see pain? Are you ready to be part of history? Q. Pretty self-explanatory. We know it's coming. We know that the D-class is coming. We know because Q has been telling us and leading up to this, and everything has been put into place. Plus, we see the deep state right now. They're trying to shift the narrative. Post 2344 shows a picture of Feinstein and Murkowski, where Murkowski looks very nervous. Feinstein looks very angry, has her hand up on the wall, blocking her so she can't move. And it says, picture repost. A picture is worth 1,000 words. See evil in the face of Feinstein. See fear and emotion in the face of Murkowski. A phone was present. Now, we know that Murkowski right now, I believe, vote no for Kavanaugh. So did Murkowski record the Feinstein conversation on a phone, or was it someone close by? Because we can see a couple people that are standing near Feinstein and Murkowski. So they might have information, or Q might be telling us that they have a FISA warrant on these people, and they're recording everything that is going on. Post 2345, this is a repost, 2042. It says special approval, and it gives us a number, P729-173009391_Z. Brackets, setup X1. Gave a link to The Hill. Homeland Security confirms special entry for Russian lawyer. Loretta Lynch, pointing with an arrow, paper trail to special entry. Natalia, not even going to try to pronounce her last name, pointing to Manafort, that's the Russian lawyer. Pfizer, warrant issued, approved, pointing to Manafort. Mueller, 2 arrows, pointing to Manafort. Pfizer warrant issued, approved, Papadopoulos. Mueller, 2 arrows, pointing to Papadopoulos. Pfizer warrant issued, approved, pointing to Page. Mueller, 2 arrows, pointing to Page. You must target, remove, and silence all those illegal targeted for Pfizer survey, plus UK Assist. UK Assist plus Pfizer survey included all upstream collection, plus tangent contacts, umbrella surveillance, all bold in brackets. Foreign target designators create leapfrog, hops to isolated real target, non-F comms, section 702. Example, P talks to X, X talks to Y, Y talks to Z, PXYZ equals bulk data collection, umbrella. UK Assist allows for normal FISA law deconstruct. Deconstruct includes D2, spy, insert. Deconstruct includes non-FISA warrant, special ops, warrant, special ops, classified public Q. And Q says, important to remember. Now, what Q is saying here is that the deep state right now is silencing those who were illegally targeted in the Carter-Page FISA. So this is very interesting, and he says important to remember. Q says important to remember. 2346, Q says, and puts up a Twitter QAnon baby, and it's an individual that met Trump at the rally. And this individual asked Trump if he knew Q, and here's the conversation. VIP Annan here. I hate that name, by the way. I am not VIP and not really anonymous anymore. Laugh out loud. But I want to thank all the bakers and anons here that contribute so much to the Q movement. So I went to the rally tonight, and I had the privilege to meet President Trump. What a great guy. Very personable, very nice in person. I had the opportunity to take a picture with him. That they will mail it at a later date. So after the photo was taken, I asked him the question. I have a question. Trump said, okay. Is Q real? Trump said the following, and this is the way he looked. He looked me right in the eye, paused for an uncomfortable second, then threw out his hands to the side and said, I don't know, maybe. Another pause, then said, I don't know, they are great people. He says, yes, they are. So right there, it looks like Trump was kind of confirming Q by saying that they are great people. Now, Q, under this Twitter status of this individual, says the following. Important moment in time. The picture will be the signifier. The signifier will force the Q. The Q will be answered. Where we go one, we go all. So what I think Q is saying here, when we hear Trump say, where we go one, we go all, that signals that Q is real and Trump knows about them, which I do believe he does. So we can see at this time, everything has been set up. We're moving forward. Kavanaugh is going to be confirmed. We're going to see the declassification. We're going to see Rod Rosenstein resign, then brought up on charges. We're going to see individuals being arrested, indictments that are going to be opened, and more people arrested. And we're going to see a lot of people in this country who are going to say, no, this is not true, this is fake, we reject this. We're going to see most likely riots paid by Soros. We're going to see people run, maybe try to suicide themselves. We might see chaos. We might see events. We know from other nations like UK, Australia, New Zealand, they're going to be putting out news articles left and right, trying to change the narrative that they weren't involved in this whatsoever. Because remember, once this comes out, it goes back to their leaders. The people then hear this, and then they're questioning their leaders. I mean, this is a takedown of not just the deep state here. It's a takedown of the deep state everywhere. Because what's going to happen here, it's going to start off a domino effect, and it's going to affect every country that deals with the Five Eyes and the people and their leaders. And you're going to see an uproar from the people of these countries. Now, of course, the deep state, what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to block this at every turn. The mainstream media outlets that are controlled by the intelligence agencies, the deep state, they're going to keep the press running 24/7 saying the actual opposite or trying to spin the story. But the problem is they can't spin facts. It's very difficult to do that. And they're going to fail. And this is why when the facts come out, the propaganda will just melt away because the truth will stand tall. You can't knock down the truth and facts. It's completely impossible. Propaganda can't do it. Because what backs up propaganda? More propaganda? What backs up truth? Facts. And you can go up against facts, but you're going to lose. And you can't knock it down. It's completely impossible. So it's coming. The hammer is about to strike. And these people, not just here in this country, around the world, they're going to feel the pain. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.